and welcome to another episode of Schiffbauer Over Rocks. Today I have friend, colleague, Wayne Burg, a partner of Casta Cigar Company, where we host this great show here. So Wayne, it's an absolute pleasure. I know we've been talking about this for a while. You're like, hey, sign me up for this in Hollywood next. So it's great to have you on today.
Well, thank you, Paul. It's an unusual experience for me. Never appeared on camera before, but I thought about what I wanted to talk about. That's why it took me so long to really make up my mind if I really wanted to do this. So I did express to you beforehand that I'd probably talk about two areas primarily. The first one would be relating to the tobacco and growing and cigar making history of our own little old York County here.
Yeah, which is
Because so many people don't really know about how important this area was in history in that area. And then the other thing I'll speak about after we're through with that is a little bit about some sports figures that we have on the scene right now. So to kind of go into that about the history, my hometown is Red Lion. I grew up there, I went to high school there, played football and other sports there. And during those years, my mother, who had three sisters, they were all rolling cigars in a two-story cigar factory in Red Lion. So I guess to go back then a little bit in history, recently I was reading a report that was prepared by a department in the state government who were responsible for issuing licenses for people who wanted to make cigars because the state was going to tax these people and get some revenue out of this cigar manufacturing. So it was a pretty incredible reading, and this particular report was for the year 1907. And I myself didn't realize how many years before that actually that cigars were actually being made and tobacco was actually being grown here in York County and in Lancaster County. But we'll restrict ourselves to talk about York County. At that time, 1907, there were well over 1,000 licenses issued to people who wanted to roll cigars in York County.
which is crazy to think.
Isn't
A
it?
thousand, not even just today, Wayne, but back then.
Yeah. Everyone and his brother was rolling cigars. Spare bedrooms, factories, of course, they had factories, but they were every back alleys, basements, garages, everything. But anyway, the number of cigars that were manufactured in York County in 1907, this is a big number, 1,300 million. 1,300 million cigars. I had to read that a couple of times to
I
be sure.
did some research too on it after you told me what you were talking about today. They said back then, right around that time frame, the United States as a whole put out like 8 billion cigars.
My goodness.
To me, that I had to scratch my head. The numbers might be a little off. You might have fact checked Marty in post production. But they said like the average American would smoke, I think, upwards of like 70 cigars a year, if not, and then chewing tobacco, then cigarettes. Before cigarettes were a big thing, cigars were like cigarettes before cigarettes in terms of natural like tobacco consumption in America. So those numbers check out.
Well, the 300 million produced 1 million in tax revenue for the state government in 1907. So it was an astonishing thing to read about. Most people, surprisingly, many people who've lived here all their whole lives are not even aware of this history.
Yeah, I had no idea.
So I remember distinctly when I would come from school, and I was probably maybe 7, 8, 9 years old, and I would go to the factory where my mom and the three aunts were rolling cigars, and they were on the second floor of this big building, and I would go in, of course, the atmosphere, the smoke, the smell of the tobacco, it was kind of mysterious in a way, but it was a wonderful experience. And all the women, I would go in and they say, "Oh, isn't he cute? What a cute little boy," and so forth. It was a great thing. But I think we're carrying on, I would say, in a sense, the tradition of cigar sales, at least sales promotion, here with Casta Cigars, which we've been doing for 10 years. And except that the way we're doing it is quite different. What we do here is we have only aged tobaccos in our cigars. Sometimes the tobaccos are actually rare tobaccos. And in fact, these tobaccos are so rare, made from these, that our cigars are made from, really the only place on the planet where you can buy them. That's how exclusive it really is, and sometimes we forget to talk to people in that sense, but it is a fact. So we have now, as an example, we have 12-year-old Dominican, of which I'm smoking, and I believe you are as well.
Well, I think now it's 15 in terms of
Yeah, we could say 15.
Since the last shipment came up.
But the other tobacco, which is actually rare, and that's the 25-year-old, we could be up to 30 years now, since it was actually harvested Brazilian. And that is truly, I ask customers that come in there, I say, "Sir, how long have you been smoking?" "Well, I've been smoking 20 years or whatever it is." I say, "Have you ever been in a cigar shop where you could get 25-year-old Brazilian?"
No.
He said, "No, I've never heard of such a thing." I said, "Well, that's how exclusive we are here." So John and I were just talking, my partner and I, this morning, about after 10 years, I think we have already established a tradition, a reputation, that if we should ever not be doing this again sometime in the future, that our heritage or the tradition that we've created here of providing a product that is so unique and so wonderful in terms of flavor and emotional satisfaction and so forth, that we've really done, I feel in my heart, an exceptional job in that respect. So unless you have any questions about that or any comments about that, Paul, we'll move on to the next.
Well, I'll give a comment or two just for folks out there who might not know too much about Casta Cigars. You talk about the rare tobaccos, and I'm a big proponent of you all supporter. So I have friends and colleagues ask me, it's like, so the rare tobacco, they just private label it from someone else. I'm like, no. Like they procure this tobacco that's harvested uniquely on its own, where it's only Casta has it available, where it's not like one of these cigar shops like a Humidor where they might have their own cigar, where 100 other cigar shops might have their own private label, white label cigar, like where everything you all procure is unique in itself in that sense, which really sets a standard for that rarity.
Something does come to mind here before we go to the next subject that I think it's important to understand, that really enables us to offer these rare and aged tobaccos, is the fact that my partner John actually lived in the Dominican Republic for 5 years. And while he was there, he was able to befriend and drink with and have a great time carousing with some of the top people in the cigar business in the world. Mm-hmm. Because many of the major companies actually have tobacco plantations there and factories where they're manufacturing their cigars. So because of those relationships that he developed during that period of time, it's possible for John, when we want to maybe offer something new that we haven't had ever before or maybe haven't had for a while, all John really has to do is get on the telephone, make a phone call and say, "Look, what have you got? We're looking for something different now. Let us know." And that's how we're able to access. It's virtually impossible without those contacts to go into a country like the Dominican Republic and have those kinds of things happen for you. It just doesn't happen.
It's business development at the highest level, Wayne.
Exactly.
When you think about it, which is pretty cool that you all have been able to do this.
Yeah. It's again, it's a unique thing that we've established, and we're very proud of it. Very proud indeed. So,
you want to talk sports a little bit?
Yeah,
because I think it relates to business and life so much.
Yeah,
We are in a cigar shop after all, so we got to talk a little sports.
Well, in my own personal life, I played a lot of sports, high school, college, military, and so forth, and a lot of different types of sports. So I'm not quite as a fanatic as I was when I was a little bit younger, but I still follow a little bit. And right now, for people that are not really deeply into following sports, there are some things happening in sports now with a couple of personalities who are very outstanding for several reasons. They participate, some at college level and some professional level, and there's male and female, but I would mention them as names as we go along for those people who are not maybe familiar with them. But one, of course, is just graduated from college, Caitlin Clark. She's a basketball player. She's extraordinary. She's done more in a little bit of time that she's been playing basketball to raise the interest in women's
sports overall,
sports
not just
overall.
women's basketball.
Yeah, it's really an incredible thing. She'll start next week, her first game. So I think she's going to be a wonderful thing to watch. And then we would go to another player who is a professional. He plays football. He was drafted 2 years ago, the last man drafted.
I know exactly you're going to talk about.
Yeah, and because of being drafted last, they call him Mr. Irrelevant, which was kind of, a put down to him and so forth, but it didn't seem to bother him. So after he took over as the starting quarterback, the first two guys in front of him got hurt. So he came in, won, I think, 5 or 6 straight games, and then he was injured in a championship game, and then he had a rehab for a year. He came back, and when he came back, they went all the way, won the regional or local championship, and lost the Super Bowl by 3 points. But he put up incredible statistics. He was a runner-up for MVP and so forth. And so Brock Purdy is his name, Mr. Irrelevant, which he plays around with the name. He likes that. And then the third guy is also a basketball player. But he's a professional. He is from Serbia, and they call him the Joker, but his name is Nikola Jokic. He was just received the MVP award, I believe it was yesterday.
Third in 4 years.
Third in 4 years. And he's just a relevant. I never actually followed any pro basketball teams because I was kind of disheartened with him a little bit. But I started right near the end of the season to watch him, and I've never seen a player like that before.
I told you off camera before, it's like watching, he plays basketball like you're playing easy mode on a video game.
Yeah.
Where he makes it look almost flawless.
Yeah.
Where he's making these shots, passes, and these rebound attempts.
Yeah, I just, it's almost revolutionary, and it's taken the world of basketball, professional basketball, by storm. They don't really know what to do about this guy. You can't slow him up and you can't slow him down. He just plays the way he plays, the way you're supposed to really play team sport like basketball. So what I see in all three of these athletes who have risen so high in their individual sports, and they're all continuing because they're all fairly young people. First of all, they're all pretty modest. They're not what you'd call the people that's seeking publicity.
Let their games speak for themselves almost.
Exactly. The one example I would think of is last year when the Nuggets won the championship, and they took the team picture after the game. All the players are lined up, and of course, Nikola, he's the main guy. Everything happens around him. But the players were sitting down front. One of the players was holding the trophy. When I'm looking around for Nikola, where's he? I mean, he's the main guy. He's the most valuable player. Well, he's in the back row. All you can see was his head. All you can see was his head. I mean, that's very uncommon for athletes when they reach that level to behave like that.
Take the back seat.
But that's the kind of guy he is, and I respect that very much. Also, all three of these athletes, they're not flashy. They don't seek out opportunities, to appear in public and go out in big restaurants and these types of things. They're not into that sort of thing. It's not in their personality. They're all team players because they all play in team sports. And I think that's something to be admired. Many athletes, a lot of times, tend to seek the spotlight.
Yeah.
And,
right or wrong reasons.
Yeah, look at me. I'm the most important person. But these qualities also family. They're all family oriented, all three of them. So all of these qualities, and perhaps there are other things you could say about them, but for me, I think these are qualities in professional and collegiate athletes that young athletes coming up can look at. They can respect it, admire it, try to emulate that in their own play, and I think overall it'll be a damn good thing for sports in general.
Yeah, and that sports just relates to life too. If people live by those principles, Wayne, and I think that's where it really transcends these examples.
Yeah.
So, hey, fun fact: Nikola Jokic, he was drafted in the second round. No one who really only knew, unless you really knew like NBA scouting and like watched any of the Euros, no one knew who the hell he was. He was drafted off camera during a Taco Bell commercial. Didn't get pan the camera to him in like Serbia or anything. It just Nikola Jokic, second round, maybe I think it was like 40-something or 50-something pick.
41st.
Yeah, it just like it was no big deal. I was like, who's this guy?
Yeah. Well, it's been I remember distinctly the first time I saw him play. I mean, I was just astonished. I remember if somebody would have been recording me when they saw me, my jaw was probably hanging down. I was like, my God, what is that guy doing? I've never seen anything like this before. But we're all blessed to have him. He's making history. He's going to continue. He's only 29 years old. They're in a playoff situation right now. They got themselves in a deep hole. But they've done some miraculous things before, and we'll see what they do.
Sports is a great metaphor for life, and these guys are all, these three that you mentioned, are living good examples. They're all kind of underdogs in themselves.
Yeah.
So it's cool to kind of pull from.
Yeah. And that's all I really have to say.
Hopefully
it was educational and a little bit entertaining, and thanks for the opportunity.
Well, I would say, Mr. Burg, one, thank you for coming on, and two, someone with the wealth of your life experience, it's just great to kind of just share some things that, that you've encountered or picked up over time. So this was good. And if you need a damn fine cigar, reach out to Casta. If you're booking an event, you might be seeing this guy.